So I just got back from watching the new Mission Impossible movie, The Final Reckoning, and unfortunately, I didn't really like it very much, but I really appreciate a lot of what it did. In this video, instead of kind of getting into the super nitpicky, like meticulously dissecting why it didn't work and the parts of it that are bad, I wanted to bring up some of the issues, but mostly talk about the things I really appreciated about it, because you can tell that it's made with so much heart and so much love. I really love the modern Mission Impossible movies, starting with Ghost Protocol. Ghost Protocol was great. Rogue Nation's even better. That theater sequence is awesome. And Fallout is one of my favorite action movies of all time. I recently rewatched some of Dead Reckoning as well, and I was still just so blown away at how well that movie's put together. All the set pieces, all the tension. It's had so much fun with how much it leaned into the fun, classic homages to cinema. For my first point, I think there's way too many characters. And it really bogs things down, because there's a lot of things that they're introducing, new characters they're bringing into this final installment. But I do appreciate a lot that Tom Cruise and the team brought on a lot of newer actors to kind of like give them a platform to move forward throughout the movie industry. And it really felt like he was choosing actors that he believed would be like the future of cinema and giving them these small roles. And even though they don't have a lot of screen time, sometimes even just like a minute, it was really great just seeing him actually put his money where his mouth is, where he's always talking about the future of cinema and keeping this industry alive, and actually like finding all these up and coming actors and giving them these small roles. So like, for example, the Severance alum with Tramell Tillman and Sidney Cole Alexander, and also like the people on the sub with Stephen O. Young and Katie O'Brien. It was really awesome seeing them in these very small roles, but still having lines and still having some personality put into them. The second point is that I feel like with this one, the tone is extremely serious, and everything is always put on this level of this is the ending of all living things forever, and it is really hard to have fun and kind of enjoy these sequences when they're constantly bashing you over the head of how intense this situation is. However, with that, I do appreciate that all the actors in this movie are trying really hard, and they are acting their ass off. And I feel like it would be easy to be like, I'm in a Mission Impossible movie, who cares, I'm just gonna do generic work here. But every actor, regardless of how little their role was, really just knocked it out of the park. Like Angela Bassett as the president is just killing it and brings so much gravitas to the role. Tramell Tillman had so much fun with his role, which is something that could have been super generic and just kind of like military jargon, is to me one of the big highlights of the movie. And yeah, like the last point is that, it is 3 hours long, and a huge chunk of it is exposition. Sometimes it feels like PowerPoints. Like the first 10 minutes of this movie is just a brutal recap of just exposition being poured into my brain. But when, during those like 45 minutes, when it is just pure set pieces, it is euphoria. So, if you've seen the trailers, you know that there's two sequences in this movie: the submarine sequence and the biplane sequence, and both of those are just incredible. I didn't watch the behind the scenes yet, but I cannot believe that they shot some of this practically. I want to talk about two shots in each of those sequences that blew my mind. So for the submarine sequence, and if you haven't watched it yet, for context, Tom Cruise has to go into the submarine and retrieve the source code for this AI, which is on the other end of the submarine. And also the submarine is under the sea at the bottom of the sea floor, and it is like rolling down a cliff. So when he gets in, and as he's making his way through the submarine, and you see it slowly start rolling down the cliff, there's a sequence where the camera is locked off and he's walking through a hallway, but because the submarine is rolling, there's water in the submarine and you can see the level of it turning around the frame as Ethan Hunt is like standing there and trying to make his way through the hallway as gravity is turning around him. And it is like the Inception hallway sequence, like times 10. I loved that shot. The second shot is during the biplane scene, and I mean, honestly, like everything in that scene hurts my brain of how they actually pulled it off, because, you know, in the marketing and the trailers and stuff, they do show some behind the scenes, and it really is just Tom Cruise strapped to a biplane. And there's some shots where they're so close to the bottom of a canyon floor, or they're so close to a mountain, and I just cannot believe the insurance companies let him do this. And there's one shot where, so there's two biplanes, and he's on the bottom one, he's trying to get to the top one. He's surfing on the bottom one and trying to grab the top one, and there's a point when he tries to grab it, and he fails, and it swoops back down, which was terrifying. And then when it comes back up again and he jumps up to the second biplane, you see him grab onto the top one, and then you see the bottom one collapse under his feet. And that's in the movie theater, I was like, holy shit. That moment was crazy. Those sequences still make it worth it to go see the movie in theaters, you know, seeing it with people and like reacting and feeling that tension and dread. But, you know, unfortunately, it isn't really holistically a great movie, but I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate what it's trying to do for movies and the industry as a whole. Yeah, it's unfortunately doesn't hit the highs of like Fallout and Rogue Nation and, you know, Dead Reckoning and Ghost Protocol, but I still think it's worth it, at least just for those sequences. So those are my general thoughts. Thank you for watching, and yeah, later.